Welcome to Basis 46, Part 1. Dangerous Imagination, Silent Assimilation. This is a book by Cara St. Louis, and it's Harald Kautz Vella, who has flown the whole way from Frankfurt, driven all night through from Switzerland to get to a plane, to come here and to deliver Basis 46. The concepts, the alarming information and the science in Basis 46 is probably the heaviest that we've ever had to deal with. Basically, in summary, we're talking chemtrails, scalar waves, acoustic waves, neg entropy, and time reversal. DNA and scalar resonance through different dimensions and realities. And they like our biophotons and the transmutation of elements. And that's just part one. There's only one way to deal with this. Just listen. If you don't understand, just keep paying attention. But people will have to get across the science behind scalar wave technology, and probably the easiest and simple way to get across that is to look up the works of Tom Bearden. He's by no means exclusive to this field of physics, but physics it is, and you need to know and understand it. When people talk about radio waves or energy waves or light waves, we're dealing with electromagnetic vector waves, acoustic waves, or waves generated when one particle hits another particle and they're slightly different and they generate a scalar wave, the scalar potential. And there's a whole pile of stuff all about that. And that is how the Earth makes the black goo. This is the definitive basis on the black goo. We've had David Griffin talk about how it was a spoil of war with the Falklands, and that was where we got our hands on it, that is to say the Brits. But it's in oil, and oil, as with all the other elements that we deal with on this planet, seem to be manufactured by the planet. The matter that's here is different than it is elsewhere, but not totally different. We don't want to go into the details. The point is that the black goo is the seed of life that creates us. It's made in the earth, it travels through the earth at great speeds, and it makes the energy vortices and energies which we pick up and call ley lines. The problem is that by directed intent, a new or different black goo was deliberately seeded onto this planet about 80,000 years ago through a series of clusters of meteor showers which impregnated the Earth's crust, and this toxic, incompatible black goo emerged, and it's causing us a lot of problems. Now, there were a lot of discussions with Harald off camera. One involved giant spiders, and I think we may cover that in part 3. Anyway, Basis 46, covering chemtrails, scalar acoustic waves, neg entropy, that's the opposite to entropy, time reversed, DNA, scalar potentials, and these creatures eat on our biophotons. It's their biophotons they want. The biological photons that comprise your light energy, which is you as a living being. They live off that and they love it. And ultimately transmutation of the elements. This has taken a great deal out of me personally. I've even lost friends in the last week. This has been too much for many people. Harald spoke the next day, immediately after this recording, at the Basis conference at Woodborough, and we'll be including that as an edit as soon as we can.
The sensation of the black goo forms is different. One is full of empathy, you have a heart in there, and one is cold and empathy free.
A lot of details here, a lot of information, very serious stuff. Basis 46, part 1. Okay? Right. Harold, we're talking about black goo, smart dust, but you've got something you want to say first. You want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, maybe I should do that. I'm coming from Germany. I'm into many fields of research. I've been doing free energy for quite a while. I stepped a little bit into medical research, starting with electrosensitivity. And at a certain point I had to start to deal with environmental monitoring. And this is what brought me to the position where I dare to state that we now are able to understand what are chemtrails composed of. Maybe not all of the components, but the most important one, how the technical part goes together, works together. And when you start to understand the technical aspects, you can also go into the agendas behind. And this is something that is getting very exciting because it's not one agenda, it's at least 3 or 4 agendas that are running in parallel, driven by different groups of interest.
Now, about chemtrails, how do you know what's in a chemtrail? Because, I mean, you can't go up there with a test tube and go to the back of the plane and say, right, that's actually coming out of the plane. And that's a big criticism that pilots and things would say that, I mean, they certainly don't seem to know anything about it. And it's all just poppycock. I mean, what do you say about that?
It is difficult. As long as you're on the ground, you cannot measure what is happening in the sky. But if you really try to put a spot on a topic, you need to take many different angles and look at the things from different angles. And if the pictures you get kind of very much fit onto each other, then you can be sure about what you see. Like, for example, if you look at the sky just with your normal eyes, you cannot tell a chemtrail from a contrail, but what you can tell is that every evening on the sunny side of the evening sky you have stripes. On the star side of the evening sky you have a very clean and pure view onto the stars, which explicitly says you have something in the air that is photoionizing, that is sensitive to the light of the sun, and as soon as you have the light of the sun on whatever is up there, it is producing current, and the current on the particles or whatever it is producing vapor, so it's getting cloudy. This is something that is definitely not natural. This is only one single thing you can say from looking in the sky. It's an experience everybody can
What are
do.
people looking at? What should they be looking at exactly?
Just when the sun goes down, mostly the sun is hidden by stripes, by persistent contrails. And if you then just turn around by 180 degrees and you look on the half of the sky that is already dark, you will not see any stripes. During nighttime you don't have stripes. If this would be vapor, like people tell, it would be there day and night. And there's no other explanation than that you have some particles in the air that are photoionizing, that are taking in sunlight, produce current, get into a plasma state, and then this plasma state is attracting the vapor from the humidity and create these hazy stripes and clouds. So there is definitely something photoionizing. The second thing you see is really strange rainbow-like structures in the clouds in certain angles from the sun. And this also from water and ice crystals, you know, the angles. These structures are not similar to the natural rainbow. There must be something chemical, something crystalline, something unnatural in the sky producing these halo effects.
Now, can you use a spectral analysis to see what's actually happening with the sky? To see what
would be possible, but just the view of it at this point is enough, because you have many more things. Then you go into chemical analysis of soil, rainwater, and plant material, and you get this fingerprint of barium, strontium, titanium, and aluminum. Everywhere around the world where you have problems with plant death, you have this fingerprint. It's not enough to kill plants if you look into the school books, but you have this fingerprint. Then you look into the history of the development of geoengineering technologies. And you find that they started experimenting with mixtures of aluminum oxide and metal salts. And if you go into the military domain, explicitly the metal salt used is barium strontium titanate. And there you have your fingerprint. You have barium, strontium, titanium, and aluminum in this mixture of particles. Just if you study patents and literature about what has been invented for cloud seeding and weather manipulation and climate engineering. So you have the fingerprint, you have kind of the literature about the technology. Then you go into the military domain and you find the chemtrail class of the US Air Force Academy. It's all public. It's public domain. It's in the university libraries where you have a...
So there is actually a chemtrail academy.
There's an US Air Force Academy, and within the chemical department you have the chemtrail class. And there they teach how they do it. And they do it by spray pyrolysis. They insert certain chemicals, weak metal salts, diluted with water or with methane.
Is this in the fuel, or is it a different...
It can be used as a fuel additive. There are different methods to do it. We don't know how actually they do it on military planes. But basically what you need to do, you need to take the metal salts, get them into a liquid. It can be water. It can be something that is burning as well. And then you create...
in other words, is this added during combustion